like it's still loading. Okay, I think we're going. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Good to be with you. It's Tom Bushlack here, and I actually invited some of my some of my friends, some of my kiddos here to introduce the theme that I wanted to use for today. So I was playing with some fun ideas in this particular Facebook Live, and the title, the topic was "Can you laugh and cry at the same time?" And I found some fun pictures to go with it to announce this Facebook Live. But it actually relates to one of the topics that I work a lot with the centering prayer and meditation practice that I teach. And how do we kind of create enough space to experience the full range of our human emotions and experiences, no matter what's going on, and even if they're like two complementary or contradictory things happening at the same time. So, I have asked my very wise children who actually kind of inspired this idea, especially Sean. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, what are your names?
Frankie. And my name's Sean.
Frankie and Sean. My middle daughter Audrey is outside playing right now, so she's not here. But they had found an idea that came up at the beginning of the coronavirus lockdown that kind of inspired and relates to this post. So I'm going to turn it over to them to explain it. Go for it.
We discovered a word called Plookplok, which basically means you're everything. So you're happy, you're sad, you're mad, you're content, you're whatever. You're just everything.
And why? Where did that word come from? Why did it come up?
We got it. We were watching this video from our mom's friend on Facebook, and he has a puppet that they were doing like funny like little skits with.
Yeah.
And he made up the word.
And he made it up why though? Because right, this was like at the beginning of kind of lockdown for coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you remember why he made the word up?
He was kind of like crazy, but I can't really remember.
Well, he was feeling all kinds of different things, right? As we say, he was feeling all the feels at the same time.
Or he was feeling Plookplok.
Plookplok, that's right. So now we have a word. Do you have any idea how he spells that?
No, I don't.
How would you spell it? I'm going to put it in the chat box.
Plookok.
Plookplok? Is there another P in there?
Oh, yeah. Pookplok.
Plok. Okay. It is in the chat box now. So you have no excuses. I want people to start using that word. When people say, "How's it going today?" You can just say, "Well, I'm feeling a little plookplok." All right. Is there anything else that you guys want to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thanks for introducing. You can hang out if you want. I'm going to chat for another minute. Are you feeling plookplok right now?
Yes.
Are you? Yeah. How come?
Quarantine.
Yeah. Ongoing social isolation.
Like a white ghost.
You kind of look like a white ghost. Yeah. That's good stuff. All right. Well, you guys can stick around if you want. I'm going to chat for a little bit. And then thanks for introducing this idea and being with us. You say goodbye?
Bye.
You good? Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you didn't, I did. So that's okay. Okay. So this idea, Plookplok, holding all these sort of contradictory emotions at the same time. How does a spiritual, a meditative, contemplative practice sort of help us create that space? And really, what this is getting at is what we think of as our heart. In the tradition that I teach out of, which is primarily the Christian contemplative tradition, informed by yoga philosophy and Buddhist practice and other things, but really centering prayer and meditation is kind of my home practice. There's this understanding that our heart is this spiritual organ of perception, and it's just as real as our brain, our lungs, right? All this other thing, but we mean it more than just the sense of like the part that pumps the blood in your body. The heart is this spiritual organ of perception. So how do we create a space large enough to hold the full range of our experiences. And that's really kind of the heart and soul, pun intended, of getting into a practice. So when we get into a deeper kind of experience with a contemplative practice and a daily centering practice, what you start to find is that the full range of your emotions and your thoughts and your experience just kind of float past. Sometimes we use the image of them floating down the river. And you learn to just observe them, note them, and note that you are not identified with all those thoughts and feelings and emotions coming down the river. And when we can do that, we start to move into what I think of as a almost like we're vibrating at a higher level. We stop getting blocked internally, like our energies stop getting blocked by the conflicting emotions that we experience on a day to day level. And we start allowing those experiences, those emotions to just come up. We just observe them. We recognize they're not us. We allow them to continue on. And we notice that that part of us, that observer, that witness, has a tremendous amount of power and wisdom. So it's a real sign of sort of spiritual maturity when we can sort of maybe be hard on ourselves in 1 minute and then laugh at ourselves at the same time and realize that we're doing it. Or maybe experience sorrow and grief and joy at the same time. So we call that a paradox when we can live inside of that paradox. And the spiritual life is full of paradoxes, of holding two things that seem contradictory together at the same time as both true. So if we can move into that space, then we kind of know that we're moving into deeper levels of spiritual maturity and acceptance. So I wanted to offer that idea along with the fun name of Plookplok for you to think about that as you integrate it into your own practices. Okay, let me think real quick here for a second or give you some ideas of examples or applications where this could be helpful, especially in leadership contexts that you might be involved in, whether that's in business or a nonprofit like healthcare, education, or social services. If you have people who report to you, you've probably had the experience of, having conversations with them. Sometimes they're difficult conversations where maybe you need to call somebody to a higher level of play for your team, or they have something that they're upset with you about because you're in a leadership position. And when you go into those situations, it's very easy for the stress of something like that to kind of shut you down, right? You can feel yourself constrict, your muscles get tight, you get tense, you feel that resistance or anger or resentment kind of starting to well up. This is where the practice in your centering practice of making space for conflicting emotions to arise at the same time can be really helpful. So let's say you're kind of taking in some feedback, or let's just call it what it is, complaining from somebody. Maybe it's an employee, maybe it's a client or a customer. Can you sit and take that in without reacting, right? Allowing it to just be what it is, let it be their experience, even if you disagree or feel differently. Let it kind of flow through you without triggering that quick defensive reactiveness. Allow that to just be their experience, even if you don't agree with it. Honor that. They are feeling heard, right? Respected, and not in a manipulative way of like, well, I'm going to make you think I believe you and that I hear you. But like you're really just allowing them to be, taking in what they have to say, and kind of letting it go. So, can you do that and take that in while at the same time then say draw out their best self? So really here, I hear those complaints, I recognize your experience, and here's what we need as part of our team. Here's how I can challenge you and hold you accountable. How can I draw out your best effort for our team while I take that in at the same time? That's one example. I've been in meetings with team members where that's been really effective, where I notice my own, let's say, resentment or defensiveness come up, at the same time that I can be compassionate and understanding towards where they're coming from. And then at the same time, or as the conversation progresses, turn and say, okay, here are the outcomes that we need that we're not getting, and how can we help get you there? And genuinely say, how can I, as your leader, help to support you and get you there? It applies to raising children too, as you can see. Uh, the corner of my daughter's head coming in. Um, it can be a really effective thing, not only for managing our own emotions, but also for how we show up in relationships and allow people to be who they are while also calling out their best self, and sometimes even in challenging ways. So, those are some of the thoughts I had around this idea of being able to Plookplok our way as a skill, a virtue, if you will, of the contemplative life. So, one of the things that I'll leave you with is this thought that, if we're going to be able to have that heart that's wide enough and open enough to be able to hold those conflicting paradoxical emotions, we need a regular practice. We need something that we can come back to and settle into on a regular basis. And the only way that happens is if we have a concrete kind of approach and a practice, a method that we've been taught and learned, and that we come back to daily, in fact, even twice daily in the tradition that I teach, in order to make enough space to hold all of that together, because otherwise life happens and we shut down, and that's just kind of the way it goes. That's the challenge of being human. So, my final thought that I want to leave you with is, if you are watching this and you are wanting a little bit of Plookplok, a little bit of heart widening practice to make space for everything that is happening around you and within you, I would like to invite you to jump on a call with me, and we'll talk about where you are and what your challenges are right now. And I'm going to put the link up in the chat box here. So if you respond here, you'll be taken to a page where you can see some time slots in the next couple of days where I'm available to chat with you, and it will be me, not one of my team members. We'll get on, we'll talk about where you are now, what your challenges are, what your hopes and dreams for the future are. We'll come up with a plan to get you there. And if it makes sense for us to continue exploring that together, I will discuss that and make an offer with you, but only if that's something that you and I are both 100% confident is something that works. So if that's something that's interesting to you, as you've seen our conversations and our posts and our engagement in our Facebook group, then jump on that link, fill out that time slot. You'll also be asked a couple of quick questions, nothing painful. That's just going to help me understand kind of where you are as we get into the call. And then just show up for your time slot, and I will look forward to talking with you. So I'm going to sign off, get back to doing some other work, and I just want to leave you and say, may you be Plookplok for the rest of your day and going into the future. Thank you. Thanks for being here, and see y'all around in the group.